Namaste, Guruji. We ask for your instructions for the Samaya tea on the following topic: karmic storms and significant karmic periods in the life of a dedicated practitioner, how perhaps to effectively avoid or significantly mitigate them, and what are the essential safety measures, if any, that should be diligently observed.
Om Namaste. The answer here will be simple. Imagine Vajra, Indra's weapon, lightning piercing the universe. The Vajra is also a profound symbol of non-dual consciousness, representing the clear luminous light of pure presence and ultimate reality. Such a truly non-dual, vajra-like and unwavering presence is fully capable of withstanding any karmic storms that may arise. And here, there is no single safety measure, no one method. We simply need to cultivate a strong, vajra-like abiding in the profound divine consciousness within ourselves, deeply and completely. Abiding in divine consciousness includes abiding in vision, abiding in contemplation, and confidently abiding in correct behavior in relationships with the universe and with energy. And so, when these three abidings become vajra-like, indestructible like a diamond, unbreakable, we will protect ourselves from karma, from any karmic storms, from any planetary influences, from any obstacles, and so on. Yes, on the spiritual path, when we practice, karma arises. That is why it is said, the greater the light of clarity and the more tapas there is, the stronger the influence of the black maras. This may seem surprising, but that's how it is. The greater our breakthrough, the more some power of blessing opens up, the more the reverse side can also be revealed. Some negative qualities, anarthas, can take root. Some kleshas may surface. Some obstacles may arise. That is why we always offer worship. We worship Ganesha before worshipping Saraswati. In fact, Ganesha is worshipped before any puja or homa, before any ritual at all, precisely for this reason. So the first precaution is worship Buddha Vinayaka Ganesha, the Lord of all Ganas. Ganesha controls the surrounding space and also binds it with magical divine power. All those negative forces that are present in this space. And simply remembering Ganesha, simply invoking him, binds the negative forces. So, when you are about to worship Saraswati, and worshipping Saraswati is not just a Hindu ritual, not just worshipping a Hindu goddess, this is a principle of interacting with universal wisdom, what is in Europe called Sophia, the goddess of wisdom. Whenever we strive to interact with divine wisdom, we must first bind these negative forces that are connected to what we do not know. These forces exist in the subtle realm. And Ganesha embodies the divine authority over these forces, the divine power that can bind negative energies in this space. And then we can interact with divine wisdom and follow the path of divine wisdom without worrying that some energies might create obstacles for us. But what does Ganesha represent? He has the head of an elephant, a large belly. Such a combination seems rather strange for a deity from a human perspective. Ganesha embodies the spirit of all acceptance, non-duality, and the one taste. When we do not focus on form, when we ignore what is happening in the world of names and forms, and elevate our consciousness to the transcendent, to the formless. When we speak of both good and bad, beautiful and ugly, holy and unholy, and both the divine and the worldly, they are all contained within this space of unified awareness. And to establish oneself in such a space, like a diamond, like a vajra, to establish oneself with the mind, with speech, that is, with energy, and with the body, that is, with behavior, this is true protection, safety from such karmic storms. The spiritual life strips us of our masks and coverings. It exposes the facets of our subconscious. It reveals our karma to us. It forces us to constantly face ourselves. And sometimes this can even be unpleasant because we see the limitations we've accumulated. Certain sins, obscurations. That is, in addition to our virtues, we see everything that at this moment, at this point in our lives, we have accumulated. This can be unpleasant, it can embarrass us, we may not like it. But a yogi is someone who is not afraid to face their own limitations, their own obscurations. He is not afraid to confront them, and he is confident in his victory over them. And this kind of important, unshakable confidence, the willingness to look your karma and your limitations in the face, not to indulge them, but to work with them and completely overcome them. This is the best guarantee for how to protect yourself from karmic storms. When we confidently and truly abide in the profound view, confidently and steadfastly remain in non-dual contemplation, or at the very least careful observation, we then have a certain inherent strength and unwavering firmness to deeply look at the various karmas that are actively playing out within us and our being. We have the position of an independent observer. This position is also supported by the spirit of faith and self-surrender, by contemplative presence. That is, it's not just an inner observer where we, like a dashcam, simply watch detached. In this observing consciousness, there is breadth and openness, or at least a tendency toward breadth and openness. It has a tendency towards self-surrender and the perception of divine inspirations. And so this is a very strong and profound inner observer, a truly pure and deeply devoted inner observer, consistently oriented toward perceiving God, experiencing God, and contemplating God's divine essence. And it is precisely from this standpoint that we should relate to karmic storms, to various obstacles. Obstacles are released in the process of spiritual life because they are removed layer by layer, veil by veil. It's like archaeologists who sometimes find treasures, sometimes jewels, and sometimes weeds. Or it's like the sun that shines, and then beautiful flowers can grow in the garden. But there are many other things growing, including weeds. The sun shines equally on everyone, but only those seeds sprout and grow that have fallen into that soil. And many seeds have already fallen into the soil of our mind. These seeds now live inside us. They are sleeping within us. And they are waiting for the right moment to sprout, to shoot up. And when we begin to actively lead a spiritual life, reciting mantras, practicing meditation, doing Kundalini yoga, praying, performing rituals, all of this is like loosening the soil, fertilizing and watering it. And then everything that was inside the soil, all the seeds that were previously sown there, these are the seeds of karma. They begin to sprout quickly, growing vigorously. And until they sprout, we won't see what exactly was there, what kinds of seeds. And sometimes we hope that what will grow there are some beautiful, lovely flowers. Roses, lilies of the valley, gladioluses, and some useful trees with delicious fruits. But suddenly some weeds appear there, some thorn apple, some thistle, some useless grass. And we see that all of this is gaining strength and growing too. But we weren't expecting that. We had planned for something else. That's why we loosened the soil and watered it. And then we are confused. How could this happen? I practiced. I thought something beautiful would grow, but what grows first is something not what I wanted. There is absolutely nothing truly terrible about this, primarily because such valuable seeds were carefully sown into the soil by you much earlier. And you need to take the position of a diligent, patient gardener. Perhaps in order to grow a single beautiful flower, a single lotus in the garden of your mind, you will have to weed dozens of hectares, and you need to be prepared for that. Only one lotus, one beautiful flower, one useful tree grows over a very large area, but on that same area you will have to weed dozens of hectares of such wild plants, and you need to be ready for this, not to be afraid. For this you need to be prepared to work diligently in the garden of your soul. And so, the first step is cultivating the inner observer, which allows you to observe yourself apart from karma, which is conditioned by these karmic seeds, and not to be influenced by it. The second is achara, behavior. You need to clearly control your behavior. Proper achara protects you from kleshas, obstacles, unfavorable influences, evil planets, horoscopes, and so on. They say that without achara there is no sadhana. Therefore, you must clearly understand which model of behavior is appropriate for the status you hold, which commandments or vows you take, which vrata you observe. All of this is like a fence that protects you from these weeds, that preserves your precious substance of sattva guna, of the sattva. Your achara allows you to fill yourself with such sattva guna, with sattva. And you need to accumulate a lot of blessed power, a lot of blessed energy. It allows you to withstand karmic storms. It will always protect you. Such blessed karmic energy is called dharma sukriti. This is real power, spiritual, magical, divine, a force of light, sattva. There is usually a lack of it in the human world. It is precisely thanks to sattva that everything beautiful, wise, good, pure, and elevated appears in this world. Sattva gives health, longevity, flourishing, wisdom, insight, siddhis, the blessings of the gods. This is the true precious elixir, amrita. Essentially, this is amrita of the gods. And what is it? It is concentrated sattva. It is super concentrated sattva. This is the amrita of gods that all people and asuras are chasing after. And you need, thanks to achara, that is right behavior and proper practices, to imagine yourself as an alchemical vessel in which this soma, this sattva, this blessed divine nectar, amrita, is produced, and simply accumulate it, generate it within yourself. And when you have a reserve of sattva, a reserve of merit, and you rely on achara, on right behavior, and you have a stable contemplative presence, or at least a steady abiding in the inner observer. And so the next thing you need is upaya, a method, an antidote. You must be skillful in a variety of methods. Just as an experienced warrior is skilled in wielding many types of weapons. An experienced warrior doesn't possess only a single bow or just one sword. He has both a bow and a sword. And also a dagger, a crushing axe, a shield, armor, and many other various auxiliary tools. And he knows when and how to use each one. In the same way, a sadhu must master the upayas, various methods for antidotes, for neutralizing negative influences. Sometimes there is some negative influence and we try to neutralize it by applying a method, for example, a mantra or a prayer or observation, but it doesn't work. That is, its effect on us is such that it simply doesn't work. Then we look for another way. We go through different methods like a thief trying different keys to pick a lock. For us, this obstacle is like a lock and we have to break it. Or like a hacker who tries different codes to break into some secret file. In the same way, we must be hackers when it comes to such obstacles. And we must be able to quickly try out different password options to find the key to this obstacle, to break through it. To break through means to see through it to its emptiness, to its purity, to make it harmless, safe for our consciousness. Sometimes one method doesn't work, then we try another. Then we turn to the Shanti Stotra, the Dattatreya Kavacha. If something still doesn't work, we perform puja, we do homa, we take on prayashita. We look for different ways to break through this particular obstacle, to devalue it, to weaken its influence on us, to make it weak in relation to our energy. How do we protect ourselves from this or that planet? Any astrologer will say upaya. For every planetary influence, for each graha, there is an upaya. If you perform the upaya on a certain day of the week, you will be able to weaken, devalue this influence. You will be able to neutralize it. But you need to know which upaya is for which influence. But the best upaya for a practitioner in the Sahaja tradition, nevertheless, is abiding in vajra-like, sky-like, flawless presence, such like a mountain. However, someone might say, this is real only on the third or fourth bhumi, at the stage of maturation. So what should one do who hasn't even established himself on the first or second bhumi? In this case, one must rely heavily on the Guru Tattva, on the chosen deity, on the tree of refuge. You need to know how to wrap yourself in this way with the energy of the five treasures. And with the energy of the tree of refuge, so that no other force can throw you off balance. So that the energy of the tree of refuge, the energy of the Guru Bhava, the energy of the chosen deity's Bhava and its visualization, so that the mantra of the holy deities of the tree of refuge, all these such envelop you as if you are surrounded by a very dense protective field. Then it will work. This is a very vast, truly inexhaustible topic. It is impossible to cover it with just one question. Sadhus and sannyasis study this topic their entire lives because this is the path of liberation. Liberation from karma, from karmic storms. Essentially what happened to us when we were born. There was a karmic storm. It was precisely because of this karmic storm that we were drawn to incarnate, that we wanted a body. Because we realized that we didn't have the strength to resist this karmic storm. We needed something coarse, something dense. We need matter to stop this karmic storm. And it forced us to be born. So, we seem to start with a narrow topic, the karmic storm, but end up addressing global questions. Questions of liberation from samsara, cultivation our strength, awareness, and development of our own siddhis, and achieving liberation from samsara. All of samsara, in essence, is one big karmic storm. At the moment of birth, we found ourselves in this storm. The moment of liberation is when we leave the storm zone and reach the calm shore of freedom. That's why this is a global topic, and it's something we study our whole lives. But still, I have my book, which is called Instructions on Traps and Illusions. Overcoming them is essential for practitioners in retreat. And I strongly recommend that everyone make this invaluable book a permanent desk reference, both for those who diligently practice in quiet retreat, and for those who feel they currently lack the necessary wisdom to effectively overcome various obstacles. The ancient saints left us many Upadisha instructions. And there is no other way but to study their Upadisha teachings and apply them constantly. And my blessings are that karmic storms and obstacles may end in the non-dual vajra-like view and contemplation. May you never encounter them, and may you use this topic only to explain it to others. May the spirit of purity, pure vision, oneness, taste, and grace reign within you. And may obstacles become as small as a pea against an elephant. There is a saying, when an elephant goes to the watering place, all the other small animals and insects scatter in fear. This elephant symbolizes the strength and weight of the divine presence within us. So that the divine presence within us, the power of our awareness, becomes so strong that these obstacles become like tiny insects, so that they scatter away. This is exactly the kind of power possessed by the sadhanas that we practice. Shanti Stotra, Dattatreya Kavacha, Brahma Mantra, it is said that they are excellent. They are antidotes to such obstructive forces of limitation. These forces cannot withstand it when we invoke this, and they scatter, leave. They leave us, making space for our enlightenment. And my blessings that you, like the mighty elephant of enlightenment, walk the path without obstacles. Om Namaste.